58th episode of the Meeple Society, a podcast about board games hosted by two longtime role players turned avid board gamers. My name is Katie.
And I'm Greg.
On this episode, we talk about some highly anticipated crowdfunding deliveries that we are expecting, hopefully any day now, and go into some of the projects that are coming up that we are thinking about backing. We continue with the recaps of our collection videos. We wrap up the Ds with episodes 20 and 21, discuss the ins, the outs, and the biggest surprises of each. And finally, for our game of the week, we venture into the rail building game, laying rails in various points of the world, even on the moon and on Mars. Before we get started, may I just say, just in case, I start sneezing, because I am here lately. The weather here in Indy warmed up drastically this week, and because of it, I think allergy season is hitting especially hard, at least for me. So, if we sound a little congested, I apologize now.
Yeah, and I just got over a cold. So.
You just got over a pretty nasty cold, so yeah. With that being said, we shall continue, and I will try not to sneeze into the mic.
So, anticipating crowdfunding deliveries we have coming up.
You know, I meant to have this pulled up, and I do have the right spreadsheet pulled up. Good deal. Okay, so ones that we are expecting that I've been told are on the boat is Collab.
Finally.
Which finally it is.
No,
it was expected last January.
Oh, it's not that late.
So it's only a year late. Deep Shelf, I've not heard anything about.
No, it's still in production.
Okay. It was supposed to have been delivered last December, but yeah, I haven't heard an updated delivery date on that one yet. Hissy Fit is off the boats and is on the trains headed toward distribution centers. That's what I heard. Joy. And of course, Firefly.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. That one I've seen being delivered already.
Yes, but there's 3 separate boats coming, isn't there?
Their boats have already hit the ports. They already started delivering, but they still said the United States will still get boats hitting in even all the way into March.
Okay, so ours could be on the 1st.
Is
it could be on the 3rd. So we don't know. Yeah.
Yep, but this one we have the game. We just got the 10th anniversary upgrades. The box. Jeez, the box.
Oh, yeah, we've seen a picture of the box.
Yes.
I don't know where we're going to put it.
You could bury literally people in this box.
You probably could.
It's quite large. It's the biggest one we have, and we've always talked about not wanting big box games.
Yeah.
Because, we have Carcassonne big box, we have Kingdom Builder big box, Amerigo by Sevenfeld's a big box.
We just picked up Ticket to Ride's Legacy. That's a good size box.
That's considered a small box anymore.
It really is
compared to some of these other ones. Star Trek Ascendancy is a big box. Reckoners is a big box, and then you've got
Terraforming Mars's Collector's Edition,
Mars,
Suburbia,
Castles of Mad King Ludwig.
Yeah.
They've all come in, and then the ones that we don't have. Ice is even a decent sized box, but it fits in a Kallax shelf. So
yeah.
But the Everdale box is huge, and I think this one is even bigger than the Everdale box.
This one looks bigger. It looks longer than the Everdale and thicker.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see.
But it's fitting the base game
and all the expansions.
All the huge expansions that come with it. It has a map for it. It has all the upgraded ships, and it has a whole nother expansion in it.
Well, our collection of Firefly now takes up a little over half a cube. So it will empty out that half a cube so other things can go there. Yeah. However, I don't know what we're going to do with that box.
Yeah. Where we normally put our big box games is already full.
It won't fit up there anyway.
No.
It would take up half.
Well, it would, but half those games would have to come out.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll figure it out, I guess, when it comes.
Yep.
We may have to build a special shelf just for it somewhere. I don't know.
Right.
So, anyway, all right.
So that's what we have.
That's what we have coming.
We're anticipating. Well, Andromeda's Edge, I think, is actually still in production.
Andromeda's Edge is not till this summer.
Yeah.
So it's not expected till summer.
So how do we decide on what crowdfunding projects do we back? Well, I think both of us have a different. We both have a different way of going about crowdfunding backing projects. Katie says, "Ooh, shiny, click back."
I do not. I do not.
I give you Planet Unknown.
That one I hemmed and hawed about for months.
I never knew about it till she's like, well, this is going to be coming pretty soon. When did you back this? Collab.
Okay, Collab looked really cool, though.
Yes. You already backed it before you said anything to me. Actually, I think I found out when you were complaining that I have not heard anything about this game in a long time. It should be coming pretty soon.
I told you about it long before then.
No.
Yes,
no.
I did. Don't let him lie to you guys.
Then what is this that last one you talked?
Hissy fit?
Hissy fit. It was after you backed
were
it.
in the no, you were sitting in the room with me when I backed that.
I knew nothing about it.
It's a little card game based on cats.
Surprise.
i.e. Hike based on dogs. But anyway, I don't know how it actually plays. I don't think it plays anything like Hike, but
at least I researched Hike. I looked at Hike.
So what? I looked at Hissy Fit.
Anyway, so she pretty much looks at it and was like, ooh, these are cool. I'm going to go back it, and then tell me after she backs it. It's like, oh, I backed this game. Oh, nice. Me, on the other hand.
Okay, I backed $30 games. You backed $200 games. There's a big difference.
Okay, we both agreed on Firefly.
We did.
So you can't say nothing about that.
What would you have done if I'd said no?
Still backed it.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter. Anyway.
Exactly.
But almost every single one of my games I back, I before I even bring it up, I watch videos on it. I discuss it with you. It's like, hey, what do you think about this game? I watched
videos on Collab.
Secretly.
So, just because I come home 3 hours before you do every day.
Mm-hmm. Anyway. She knows everything I back.
Well, yeah, because I'm the one who keeps track of it all.
She knows everything I back before I even back it. How about that?
Okay.
I know probably about 50% of anything that she backs before she backs it.
No, that is not true.
So,
we talk about all of them.
So like I said, I watch videos, I watch reviews of the game that people put up that's gotten review copies that talk about it. I look it up on BGG. I look at the mechanics of the game. I see how it plays. I discuss it with you. And then
he makes me watch the videos too.
Well, exactly, because I don't want to back a game that you're not going to like.
Okay.
See, I always check everything
before
I back it, because even after you said, yeah, whatever, if you want to, you want to. And then sometimes I'm like going, I don't know. And some things I really thought about back, and then I didn't back. And then when it comes out, you're like, oh, damn, I wish I really would have backed this. But, oh, well, we'll find it in retail. And we normally do, because we have a store around here that gets a lot of the Kickstarter
We
deluxe
do,
stuff,
yeah.
so.
We have a lot of the Kickstarter stuff. Anyway, we're rambling.
So let's go on. I mean, we're still talking about Kickstarters. So we're going about some of the games we are looking at getting.
Okay.
This first one is actually on Kickstarter right now.
I was going to say, should we rephrase that and say some of the games that you were looking at? No.
I got two of them on here that I'm looking at. One of them I know I'm backing no matter what.
Yeah,
and
I know.
then the other one is one that you've been interested in. This first one, I think we both kind of thought looked really cool, but I don't know which one of us is going to back it if we were backing it. And that would be Trailblazers, the Arizona Trail. Just looks really cool. I haven't watched a video or anything on it to see how it plays.
Yeah, I think we need to watch a video on this one because you're right. It looks phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
And I do like the nature-themed games.
Mm-hmm.
These types of games.
We have bought a bunch of games that looked phenomenal, and then the gameplay
is lackluster really at best. Yeah.
So the mechanics in this game is game ending bonuses, pattern building, point-to-point movement, set collection, turn order, claim action, variable setup, and worker placement. It has some of the stuff. I mean, categories are adventure, American West, animals, educational, and exploration. So it doesn't have all the mechanics we really like.
No, but
we
doesn't
don't have
need
a problem
all
with
of
it.
them.
Yeah, but we don't have a problem with any of those.
No. I mean, I'm seeing polyomino tiles, the artwork. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the artwork is phenomenal.
So this is based in Arizona, which, I mean, don't get me wrong. I've always loved traveling out west. Mm-hmm. Arizona, New Mexico, all of that area has always been some of my favorite places to travel because the scenery is just, the landscapes are just gorgeous. There's just no other way to describe them. They are just gorgeous, despite how barren it is sometimes.
Yeah.
But now my mom lives in Phoenix, so we've been to and from Arizona a lot more in the last couple years.
Mm-hmm.
And I am falling in love with it. It is absolutely beautiful out there. So, and as we inch closer to retirement,
Yeah.
it's been thought about, let me tell you.
Yeah, and I think with the title, the Arizona Trail is one of the reasons that brought it to my mind. But yeah, you get this the base game, the retail version of it is $50.
Yeah, which is not bad for a game nowadays.
Yeah, the deluxe version that gives you all the upgrades of 6 miniatures, dual player boards, and all the stretch goals is $70, which is great.
That's still a great price.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or for $109, you can get the original one with it, but it's only the retail price of what is it, Mirror Trail?
Oh, the original
here.
one. I'm not sure.
Yeah, Mirror Trail, MUIR.
Muir Woods. Yeah.
John Muir Trail retail version, but they also have an add-on that for another $20 you can get all the upgraded stuff for that game too.
So tempting.
So it's like $130. You can get both games. But like I said, we
tempting.
don't know exactly how it plays yet.
Yeah, I'm seeing a couple videos on here.
Mm-hmm.
We may have to look at them. Has this launched yet?
Yes, it's launched. It's got 25 days to go. It's already backed. They asked for $20,000 and they've already got $83,583.
Wow. Okay.
So.
Yeah, this one might be
1,136 backers already.
Yeah. All right. Well, sounds like I have my homework this week, don't I?
Mm-hmm. Take a look at it and see what we think.
Yeah.
The next one is this one I think just looks really cool. Galactic Cruise. This one hasn't launched yet, but it has Ian O'Toole artwork on it, which is always looks great. But this one has the mechanisms on. This is a long line of mechanisms here. It says action points, connections, in-game bonuses, hand management, income, market, modular boards, multi-use cards. There you go, multi-use cards. See, open drafting, set collection.
Guess what we're back.
It has a solo game, track movement. It even has tracks.
Okay.
Variable setup, victory points as a resource, worker placement, and worker placement different worker types.
I see lots of wood pieces.
This one hits.
Oh, it does look pretty cool.
What I like in a game. Yeah. This one.
The look of the board almost reminds me of a Lacerda game.
Yes, that's what I thought it was when I first seen it. I seen the Ian O'Toole and I looked to see if Lacerda was on there and he wasn't.
Oh, that would explain why it looks like a Lacerda game if it's Ian O'Toole.
Ian O'Toole artwork. So yeah, it looks really, really cool.
It looks really good.
And this is the one that I said when it finally drops, this is the one I'm definitely backing.
Yeah. Okay, fine.
Okay, fine. So that is Galactic Cruise that we are backing. Trailblazers, the Amazon Trail so far we're going to research a little bit more. And then the last one is one that you showed interest in, so I put it on here, and this is Flow.
Yeah, the artwork has caught me on this one. And I will admit that is the first thing that always catches me. I like this style of artwork.
Yeah.
And this is what, Andrew Bosley, it looks like?
Yes.
Okay.
And Yoma.
Yeah.
What is Yoma?
Yoma, Johnny Vac.
Oh, Yoma did Planet Unknown.
Oh, well, that
Endless
explains
Winter.
a lot.
He did some of the Endless Winter. Unconscious Mind, Sweet Mess.
And all of which are games I like the artwork on.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. But anyway, it's, again, another one that has not launched. I don't know anything about this. I just think it looks really good. Looks like dual layer player boards in some of the pictures on BGG. Let me see what we've got in terms of mechanics. Because like I said, I'll be honest, all I've looked at, I've seen some other content creators comment on it and say it looked really good. So that's why I checked it out.
The mechanics is area movement.
Okay.
Contracts, critical hits and failures, hidden victory points, Mancala, modular board, tags, variable power, player powers, and worker placement, different worker types.
Okay, so you've got different worker types that
I'm not sure what they mean by area movement.
Area movement.
Is it? That's not area control.
No, it's not area control. That's probably part of this Mancala.
Let me see what they say. Area movement. A game board is divided into irregular shaped areas to determine adjacency and movement. This can be contrasted to point movement, which is isomorphic, and grid movement, which uses regular shapes That's what
Okay.
the description of that is.
All right. Well, we'll have to check more into it once it drops and we start seeing some videos out on it. I definitely want to check into it further, though. It looks phenomenal. Like I said, I really like the artwork on it. And I love the Mancala style on a board on a game.
Yeah.
I love that movement action. So I don't know. We'll see.
Those are the games we've been looking at. Let's move on.
Okay.
We're going to move on to the ins and outs of the board game collection. This one we are doing episode 21 and 22.
Yep, we are wrapping up the Ds. All right, so on both of these episodes, we played 18 games. Both of them had a couple of C's thrown in that we had to go back on because we'd picked up some new games or were given games. Matter of fact, I think these must have hit right around the first of the year. And the reason I say that, first of 2023, is because one of the games on here is Crokinole, and I know you got that for Christmas in 22.
Yep.
So here we go. On 21, again, this was the first episode. No, this is the third episode of the Ds. We played, so our backups were Caper Europe, Crokinole, which again, is a dexterity game we got for Christmas. Greg got for Christmas. District Z, which is a weird zombie game. Dixit, hopefully that needs no explanation. Domain, Domination, Dominion, Dominoes with Mexican Train, Don't Break the Chain, Don't Break the Ice, Don't Go to Jail, Don't Quote Me, the TV Guide Edition, Don't Rock the Boat, Don't Spill the Beans, Don't Tip the Cows, Don't Wake Daddy, and Don't Wake the Dragon. And then followed by Doodle Dice.
A lot of don'ts.
A lot of don'ts in this one.
So many games that have don't at the beginning.
Right?
And there's probably more than that. Those are just the ones we have in our collection.
There's probably way more than that. All right. So those were all the games that we played. And I'm sure a lot of those probably sounded very familiar. Don't spill the beans. Don't break the ice. Don't go to jail. Don't go to jail is a reference to Monopoly. It is a Monopoly-esque type of game. It's based in that same world.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah, because same artwork, same designers and stuff.
All right. Starting with our in. Well, on this one, this was actually an easy one to figure out which one was 100% staying. Even before we played it, it was Crokinole.
Yes.
Because you had always wanted to try it. I got a chance to try it at an event that I went to.
Before I got to do it.
Yes, you did. Or I did.
And you show no interest in this game.
I didn't.
I always wanted to play this game, and then you get to play it.
Tony and I, my sister-in-law and I, we both had a day off. We went down and ran a Christmas party for my son's IT group at Butler
University.
He asked us to come in, bring some games and that. Well, one of the other guys in the group brought a couple of Crokinole boards. They were going to have a Crokinole tournament. Well, while we were setting up, we were done setting up. We were just kind of waiting for everybody to arrive after having lunch. And he offered to sit down and teach us how to play Crokinole. So we did. And I think before we even finished our second game of it, Tony had already ordered a board and then found the one she gave you later on. She had found that one and then ordered herself one of the really super expensive ones and then given you the one that she'd originally found.
Oh, I see. I get second helpings because I'm not special enough.
Right.
Thanks, Tony.
So anyway, eventually we'll probably get ourselves a much nicer board. But quite frankly, storage is an issue with it. So that's the biggest problem is
a lot of people hang it on the walls, and then I look in this game room, and I'm like, where?
So, yeah, I don't know. But anyway, we'll figure out a place and then hopefully order ourselves a nicer board. But it is a very neat dexterity-based game. It's typically two-player. You can play teams. But every player has a set of pucks, and I want to say it was 20 pucks. It might be less than that. Maybe it's 15. I don't remember. But you are shooting, trying to make it into the center. However, there are certain rules involved where, and I'm totally going off memory here because it's been a little while since we've played, but you're trying to make it into the center. However, if anybody else's pieces are on the board, you have to bounce off of one of them first. Of course, there are rubber pegs around the center hole, a couple inches away from the center hole that you're going to bounce off of as well, especially if you can't aim properly or like I said, you have to hit somebody else's piece. Because if you don't hit off of somebody else's piece, it doesn't matter where you landed. It's no good. That piece comes off the board. Mm-hmm. Your piece comes off the board. And vice versa. They have to hit off of yours. If your goal is to get your opponent's pieces off the board so you don't have to bounce off of them.
Correct.
And you can just aim for that center hole. Any piece that makes it into the center hole and drops in there, those come off, and those are automatically 20 points at the end of the game.
Yep.
The scoring is a little, well, I don't guess it's not really wonky.
Okay, when I first heard the scoring count, it was like, what? Yeah. But it makes sense.
It does. So what happens is that you play to a predetermined number. Mm-hmm. And so the number of rounds determines how long you're going to play. Or the score you're going to determines how many rounds you're going to play. But so all right, so when the game is over, you tally up how many 20s you got, and then you tally up with every piece that is still remaining on the board how much those scores are, and based on where they are in relation to the center determines how many points they're worth, whether it's 10 or 5 or whatever. You add up all your scores, you take the lowest from the highest, and then whoever had the higher amount gets the difference between the two. And then that score gets written down and you go into the next round. Basically, that's how it's played. It's a very simple dexterity game, but It takes a lot of practice. Oh my gosh. Flicking those silly pieces, my fingers hurt after playing.
This is one of the few dexterity games I actually really love.
This is a good one.
It's 12 to 8 pucks, depending on whether you're playing with 2 players or 4 players.
Oh, I was way off then.
Yes.
Okay.
Although 12 and 8 is 20, But,
well, that's true. That's a good point.
Yeah.
So, all right. Okay, so that's Crokinole. That was our in. The one that left our collection, and this is one that moved from our collection into the travel collection quite some time ago, and it even left the travel collection. And this was District Z. District Z is an unusual zombie-related game. It's all cards and standees, or not? No, it's not even standees. It's cards in standee pieces. It's all card play. But you're trying to get across the city to find certain goals, and you're fighting things as you go, depending on the cards that you turn over. We've played it several times. It just never hit with us, and it's the kind of game that is just never going to come off the shelf. We got it for like $5 at Gen Con when we first started into the hobby.
Yeah, and this was self-published.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, regardless, it has left the collection altogether. All right, our surprise of this one, and this is one, our surprise was Dixit. This is one that we were never interested in. It just was not the kind of game we liked. It suggested a higher player count than we usually play with. I think it was 3 to 8 or 4 to 8 or something like that.
Something like that.
And
3 to 8.
3 to 8. Okay, and that's one reason we never bought it. But I found it at Goodwill. I've actually found a couple copies at Goodwill now. Mm-hmm. And so I went ahead, how could I turn it down for $3, especially when I'm buying it for the other collection, for the travel collection. We played this one with some friends and really liked it. I was shocked how much I enjoyed it. It definitely, and it's a popular game. So I shouldn't have been surprised, but we were. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Yeah, people say you could take this game. You can take Mysterium and mix up the cards.
Yes.
And use them for
Matter
both.
of fact,
plus now Stella is out as well.
Yes, Stella has the same style cards.
Thing,
yeah. Yeah, they're all the cards are the same basic artwork and same basic idea behind the cards. Yeah. The weird psychedelic artwork.
Right.
This one that you can be interpreted in many ways. This one has a ton of expansions.
57 expansions, it says, but that's probably some promos too in there. So.
I imagine there's a lot of promos. I know there are some actual expansion packs, and we do have a couple of those, and we've just mixed all the cards together into one box.
Well, it says 78 versions of this game.
That doesn't surprise me, not a bit. It's pretty language independent. I mean, the idea is, how would you describe this one?
Here's what it says on BGG. Each turn on Dixit, one player is a storyteller, chooses one of the 6 cards in their hand, and makes up a sentence based on that card's image, and says it out loud without showing the card to the other players. Each other player then selects a card in their hand that best matches the sentence, and gives the selected card to the storyteller without showing it to anyone else. And then you vote on the storyteller shuffles cards with all the received cards, then reveals these cards to each player other than the storyteller, then secretly guesses which card belongs to the storyteller. If nobody guesses the correct card, the storyteller scores 0 points, and each other player scores 2 points. Otherwise, the storyteller and whoever found the correct answer scores 3 points. So, yeah, the goal here is to score points. So you want to find out what the storyteller's card is. You want to guess it, but then yet, if nobody guesses the storyteller's, everybody's going to get 2 points.
Right.
So that was episode 21. There was no
21.
Disappointments in
No, nothing in here we expected to be fantastic that we were really disappointed with. So no worries there.
So off to episode 22. And we do have a disappointment in this one.
We do. Okay. So again, 18 games played. We had one backup, and that was Cloud Age. We had picked that up at a not BGG, at a Barnes & Noble sale.
Mm-hmm.
So we had Cloud Age. We had, try not to laugh here, Dr. Dreadful, Scabs and Guts. This is a trivia game about science and about the human body. It was actually a lot of fun. No spoilers there, I promise. All right. Double Crossing, a Lionel train game. This is basically a Monopoly-esque train game.
Mm-hmm.
All about trains, I should say. Double Decker, Doubles Wild, Downfall of Pompeii, Dr. Beaker, Dr. Eureka, and Dr. Microbe. Dr. Seuss Trivia Game, Dragon Castle, Dragonology, the game, Dream Home, Drop It, Dueling Dice, Dungeon Busters, Dungeon Pets, and Dungeon with an exclamation mark. All right, so that's all of the ones that we played for this one. The one that stayed, and there were actually a lot of them in this grouping that stayed, but the one that even walking into it, we had no doubt it was staying, was the Downfall of Pompeii. Mm-hmm. This is one we picked up shortly after coming back from Italy. In 2014? It was our first year in the hobby.
Yeah.
And we had seen this on the shelf at Saltier's, and we grabbed it because we had just visited Pompeii and while we were in Italy, and it was a very sobering experience. Now, the game does not do much for the sobering aspect of this visit. Let me tell you that.
No, it doesn't, because you're throwing your friends into volcanoes.
Yes, but it is still a fun game. It is one of the few take-that games that we can really get into and just laugh about.
Yeah. You got to teach the demo at Gen Con that next year for Mayfair.
Yes, I taught it for 4 solid days at Gen Con, and we played 20-minute games. They were abbreviated games. We basically shortened the deck down some, but this one, you preset the deck and it plays in 3 rounds. The first round, you're putting out 1 player per person based on your card play. And then suddenly the volcano starts to rumble. So now all your friends are coming in. All your relatives are coming in. You're placing out 1 person, and then relatives based on where you placed your first person will allow you to place more people into the city. And then this continues until at a random time, because the card is just kind of shuffled into the bottom part of the deck, at a random time, that second 79 AD card is going to come out. And now the volcano actually starts to spew.
Flow.
Yeah. And as we all know, it is not the lava that is the biggest danger to human life.
Right.
In a volcano eruption. It is the ash and the toxins that come out with that ash. Mm-hmm.
Well, the lava doesn't help, too.
Well, the lava does not help, no.
It'll turn you to ash really quickly.
Yes, it will. But anyway, so now all the cards are set aside. All of your remaining pieces are set aside. You're no longer putting people into the city. You are now trying to get out of the city. And now you have to start moving your pieces. You can move 2 pieces per turn. Movement is based on how many other people are in the same square that they're in at the start of their movement. And then you're trying to get them out of the gates. Meanwhile, as in any kind of a take that game, you are putting lava tiles into the city at the start of the round, of the start of your turn. Mm-hmm. You start the round by putting so many out, and there are different icons on the lava tiles, and you're putting them out into the city based on preset icons in the city. Mm-hmm. But once that first one is down, so once the first helmet is down in the city, and you pull a second helmet out of the bag, you can put it anywhere touching that first helmet. So now you're actually going to be putting it onto spaces where people are sitting.
The other players, not yours.
You don't want to kill your own.
yours.
But yeah, you don't want to throw your own in the volcano because that defeats the purpose. But you want to try to throw your opponents in the city into the volcano. But you're also trying to block entrances that other players need, but that you don't. Like I said, it is one of the few take that games that we own that we both really enjoy. We actually have a video on YouTube for this one. Mm-hmm. We played with a couple of friends of mine from work, and we had a great time with it.
Oh, everybody has a great time with this game. When you tell them, it's like you get to throw other players into the volcano. The one that left the collection, this was it's something that sat in the travel collection. This is called Doubles Wild. This is... You're rolling dice and putting chips out based on the numbers you're rolling, trying to make sets. Yeah, because you're rolling 2 red dice, 2 blue dice. Yeah. And the number that adds up in the red dice, you're putting it in that column, and then the numbers of the blue dice is the row you're putting in it, and you put it where they cross.
You're trying to hit the intersections. So it was it's
100% luck.
It is very luck-based. I thought you had a couple choices, especially if you rolled doubles on stuff, then you had choices as to where you could put them because you're trying to make sets of 3, where you can get 3 of your tokens together. It was just kind of a weird luck-based game.
Yes.
It was a larger box. It wasn't a huge box, but it was a larger box that just didn't really sit well. But anyway, so that one did leave the collection. Our surprise of this one, and I honestly had a couple of surprises in this one, just... Double Decker was a surprise to me. I was shocked how much I enjoyed that one.
I don't remember that one.
That is the one that had they were like red marbles inside of acrylic cubes, and there was 2 together, red and black marbles.
Oh.
And you had to try it was a tic-tac-toe type of thing, 3D, but the marbles were encased in solid plastic in where you had to lay them down to try to get yours to go without getting somebody else's to line up. I was just very surprised at how good this one was for as old. I mean, I shouldn't say that for as old as it is, but I didn't expect it to enjoy it as much as I did. But anyway,
as old as it was.
Yeah, I know, right? So that was one of the surprises for me because I really didn't expect to enjoy it, but I did. But the one that we listed, because this was a surprise for both of us, but that is not the one we listed. The one we listed was Drop It.
Yeah.
Drop It is another dexterity game where you are dropping pieces,
all kinds of different shapes.
Geometric shape pieces into a thin stand-up board, and you're scoring based on where they land. So there are cardboard tiles that slide in and you can change out because the game comes with a couple different ones, but you slide them into the sides, and you have one down on the bottom of the board that shows where you cannot have pieces. So you can either use the colors or the shape options. So if you use the colors and you throw a yellow circle down and it lands on top of one of the yellow pieces or up against the yellow side, then it doesn't count at all. You want to make it land on the other side. But at the same time, you can't score your pieces if it touches any other piece of your color. So if your yellow circle even touches a corner of your red square or your yellow square, you don't get to score it. Or if it touches another geometric shape of the same geometric shape. So if my yellow circle touches your yellow circle or your red circle, I don't get to score it. So it's very tricky into what piece you're dropping in versus where you're going to drop it, and hoping gravity works in your favor. Because occasionally you drop that piece and there's just enough momentum that it knocks everything else out of the way and it slides down and hits that other piece that you didn't want it to hit. It's a fun game. It's a 15-minute game.
Yeah, and this is one I seen it at Gen Con. I'm like, what in the world is this? It
looked very
game?
Basic.
Yeah, like really basic.
And
it reminded me of like Connect 4.
Yes, a fancy Connect 4.
But I just had no interest in it. No. And then you found it at
I found
Goodwill,
a couple copies at Goodwill, actually,
and
yes.
So we sat down, played it, and it was like, wait, let's try this
again. We played this like 4 or 5 times in a row.
Yeah, this is one of the few games we've had. Like, wait, okay, reload. Let's do this again.
Yes.
Ooh, let's change out the tiles on the side, so we have to play with the shapes or play with the colors.
This is also one that Tony and I took to that party at Butler where we learned to play crokinole, and everybody loved it. So this was a very popular one. Matter of fact, there were several guys who had got online and ordered it before the party was over. They had ordered. They really enjoyed it. So, but it is a good one. And it's so fast. It's so quick to set up, and it plays so quickly. I love it. All right, this one we did actually have a disappointment in too.
Yep.
And this was Dragonology, the game. It looked so cool.
Yeah,
this was another
one,
Goodwill find.
Yeah, when you brought this home, I was like, oh, that looks so cool. We really need to play this.
Does.
I'm really interested in what this game is. It looks like it could be phenomenal.
It was essentially a roll and move.
Pretty much.
And set collection.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you could move anywhere on the board. It wasn't like you were moving in a circle. You were traveling all over the map. But
but I thought there was a path that you had to take.
Well, there were paths, yes. But you could go in any direction. You weren't set in a specific direction.
Mm-hmm.
But it was essentially a roll and move. You had to collect cards of specific types of dragons, and then you had to get back to that dragon's home base without somebody taking stuff from you.
Mm-hmm. This has the mechanics of betting and bluffing. I don't remember the betting on it.
Betting and bluffing, but I mean...
That's how well this game stuck in our heads.
Right?
Pick-up and delivery, you would think,
yes.
I should love this one. It's a
yes,
pick-up and delivery game because I've really started getting into pick-up and delivery games. Point-to-point movement, rock, paper, scissors. I don't remember what that was all about. Yeah. Roll, spin, and move. It was a roll and move.
It was a roll and move.
Set collection and trading.
Yeah, because I think you could trade cards if I'm not mistaken.
But yeah, it just
didn't stick.
I think right in the middle of play, I was kind of like, this is nothing like I wanted it to be.
It looked... Okay, so the pieces were... I mean, they were little dragons and stuff like that. The pieces looked really cool. This was published in 2006. Oh, wow. It has a 4.6 on BGG. That should have been a dead giveaway. But,
right.
Okay. Designer uncredited. Published by Sabatoys. Regardless, it has left the collection. It was just not anything that I think we would ever pull out again. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that is it for episodes 21 and 22. That wraps up the D's. Mm-hmm. Next time, we'll start diving into the E's.
So we're almost halfway through our video thing.
Yeah, because
we're almost caught up.
Right now, if time allows us, we are going to be recording episode 47 today. Yeah, I want to say we're on 47.
Yep.
I'd have to get my other book, and it's not within reach. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, I think that's where we're at. We
will move on, and once again, no mail.
No.
So sad.
I'm bummed out.
But you can ask us questions. You can email us. Email your questions to the Meeple Society at mail.com, or you can join our Discord server. There is a channel for that in the Discord server. Or you can join our Facebook group, and like every 2 weeks, that question pops up on the page, and you can ask your question there. So we're going to move right into our deep dive. This week, we are deep diving Maglev Metro, the maps expansions that you backed on Kickstarter.
I did, and you knew about this one. We talked about it.
I knew as soon as I seen it was coming out, I knew, okay, we're getting that one.
Yes. Okay, so brief overview of Maglev Metro as a whole. Again, we do have a video out on this. I even have a rules breakdown out on this one. But so with Maglev Metro, this is a route building game. You've got the original game came with 2 maps, Berlin and I want to say
New York.
Manhattan. Thank you, Manhattan. In each game, everybody starts out with 18 clear acrylic rail tiles. Each with a different color on them, each set up slightly different so that they can stack on top of each other and you can see all 4 colors going down. So it looks really cool when you get 4 players playing this and you've got acrylic tiles all over the board. The board is recessed. It's actually double-sided, so it's not dual layered, it's triple layered because you've got the base layer and then each side of it is dual layered so that your stations can sit down inside of it to help hold your acrylic tiles into place when you start putting them out on the board. So the idea is you start with a certain number of stations out on the board. In some of them, you start off with a 3-piece hub that you can branch off of as many times as you wish. In others, you just simply start off with 3 individual pieces that are very specific and specific robots can be placed onto. And you can branch off of each of those twice. In and out. That's it. And then as the game progresses, you're adding more of those hubs. There's a silver, a gold, and a bronze hub. As the game progresses, you can add more of those. And then there's 4 other types of stations you can add as well. There are offices, which are pink, stores, which are lilac, embassies, which are a coral color, and studios, which are a dark purple.
Yep.
And from here on out, that's probably what I'll call them, is by their colors. So you
I think
also,
everybody does that.
Right. So you also get a number of little bitty passengers. You've got robots in the 3 different robot colors, silver, you've got steel, which are silver. You've got gold, which of course are gold. And then you've got the bronze tech robots, as they call them. And then you've got one in each. You've got commuters in each of the 4 colors that match up with the offices and the labs and the studios and that. So,
yep.
All right. So the basic idea with this one is you start the game out with a lot of just robots out on the board. The passengers don't go into the bag to be put out on the board until one of the places they need to go is put out.
Yeah.
So the idea with this one is you are building out your rails to get to various points where you can build a station. And at that station, you are choosing which station to build, whether you're going to build a factory, a warehouse, or a lab for one of the robots, or whether you're going to start building one of the color stations so that you can put more passengers into the bag. As soon as one of their stations is built, passengers go into the bag. And then anytime somebody does a refill station action, that the potential for those passengers to come out is there, and they end up on stations where they need to be picked up and taken to where they need to go. You can only drop passengers or robots off at their designated stations, the color that matches them. You can, if the big hub, the 3-piece hub exists, you can always drop robots off there, and they'll find their way to where they need to go on their own. Once you've dropped passengers off or robots off, those immediately go to your board. And now you start filling in your player board to give you better actions. And here's where some of the tricks lie. Robots can go into giving you more train actions, building more tracks, moving further, moving backwards, being able to build stations, being able to pick up passengers, drop off passengers. How many can your train hold? All of those types of things. So the robots allow you to build up what your train can do. The passengers give you endgame scoring. That's most of it. Both passengers and robots will allow you to open up additional action points per turn. Everybody starts with 2. You can get up to 5, depending on how many passengers and robots you want to dedicate into that area of the board. And then there's the area, and this is I don't want to say it's the trickiest area, but it's one of the ones you have to focus on fairly quickly.
Yeah.
This is unlocking the hubs or the tiles. In the beginning of the game, you only have access to those 3 robot hubs. What is that? The factories, the warehouses, and the labs, the silver, gold, and copper. In order to build the pink, the lilac, the coral, or the purple, in order to build any of those, you have to unlock that ability. So you have to be able to put robots into opening the pink. And then I want to say the next one requires robots as well, the lilac. But by the time you get to the coral, you have to have a pink passenger to open the coral. And you have to have a lilac passenger in order to open up the dark purple. So it kind of progressively, you have to open the early ones to get the later ones open. The game runs until basically the bag is out of passengers. Mm-hmm. When the bag is out of passengers and at least one of every station is out on the board, doesn't have to be all of them, but typically that's what happens with us is we get those stations opened up fairly quickly. So once that happens, then the game is over. Everybody gets one more turn. You finish out that round. Everybody gets one more turn to try to drop off as many passengers as they can because they don't count if they're still on your train. They only count if they're on your... No, at all.
There was one of the new maps that you scored points for passengers still in your train.
Oh, was there? Well, I must not have had any passengers in my train on that one because I don't remember that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's how the base game plays. The maps all take that and twist it just a little bit for each one of them. All right, so the base game of Maglev Metro came out in 2021, by the way. Plays 1 to 4 players. It was designed by Ted Alspach. Art by Alana Kelsey and Olin Tim. Published by Bezier Games. Plays in roughly 60 to 90 minutes. And for the most part, all of these are going to be the same. All published in 2022 and 2023. I want to say the Kickstarter came in 2023. Mm-hmm. But if you look on BGG, they've actually broken this out by the separate map packs.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to say they were all 2023 because that's when the Kickstarter came. All play 1 to 4 players. All play in 60 to 90 minutes. All of the maps. Well, no, I take that back. Not all of them were designed by the same person. Mechs and monorails were by Ted Alspach and art by Alana Kelsey. And moon bases and Mars were the same way. You get down into Paris and London, it was a different designer. We'll talk about that when we get there. So with mechs, and we'll talk about each one of these maps as we go, as we explain it. So with mechs, it comes with a mech guide that gives you the special abilities of putting a mech into your train slots. Each mech takes the place of essentially 3 robots on your board. And you can put that into any one of the train slots, whether it's going to be how far your train can move, how many people you can hold, whatever. At the beginning of the game, you get 1 mech and you get a hub. Everybody starts at their mech hub. The difference with this one is, well, there were 4 mech hubs and you get to put one out at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, but you don't start there because that's where your second mech went and you had to work your way down to it to get that second mech.
You are right. You start at the main hub. This one had the 3-piece hub on the board.
Yes.
You're right. And you had to work your way all the way to getting that. And no, you didn't even start with it on the board. You started with the hub and you had to get it built. But you had to get to a spot where it could go first. And there was only certain
places on the board that could build a hub like that.
Yes. And the mech hubs were basically half pieces. So you had to get to one of those spots on the board in order to build it. So you started with 1 mech that gave you special abilities based on where you were going to put it. And once you put it down, you couldn't move it. Mm-hmm. Once you get your mech hub built, you get your second mech, and you can, again, put that into an empty slot on the board.
Yeah,
so you had to make sure you had an empty slot to put it in.
Right. So 2 of the spots were automatically full when you got those
right.
in there.
And each one of them gave you special abilities. Mm-hmm. Like one of them, it allowed you to move as far as you wanted to.
Yes.
If you put it in the move spot, you could move as far as you want to. You didn't have to worry about moving backwards. You just simply moved. Mm-hmm. The capacity, if you put it in capacity, you not only had room for all 4 people in your train, you had room for 6.
Yeah, because
you were cramming them in there
on top of that mech on your board.
Yes. So
I use that quite often.
Yes. Well, yeah, you had that one opened up. I didn't have that one. I had a different one. I think I had the drop off because I could drop off people 1 station away from where they needed to be.
I had that one too.
Did you? Okay. So depending on where you put the mechs gave you special abilities. And I liked that. This board was literally cut in half. There was no way to get from one side to the other except to go through the central hub. Every board has a section where you put all of the unused stations, all the stations that are waiting to be built. And this particular board, those were all dead center of the board. And they literally stretched from one end of the board to the other with the exception of that central hub on the far end. Mm-hmm. In a 4-player game, I could see this being more interesting.
Yeah.
I liked it. I liked what the mechs did. In a 2-player game, I feel like you either need to cut off half the board or it just doesn't work because we each went to separate sides of the board and that was that.
Well, I think we found that out in all these maps. They're better with more than just 2 players.
Yes. So my opinion of mechs, I enjoyed it. I think it would be much better and again, all of them I think are going to be better at 4-player. But I just don't think the design of the board works well with 2 players. I feel like there should be a rule in there, and I don't think I missed it because I read every word on this rule sheet that says for a 2-player game, don't play with the southern half or don't play with the northern half. Just play with half the board.
I liked having the little mechs on your player board because it was 2 areas you didn't have to worry about putting mechs, and you could focus on other areas that you needed to.
Right.
That was great. My biggest problem of this one, and I voiced this a bunch of times while we were playing it, is that mech hub that you have to get out there and build. It did absolutely nothing but give you that second mech.
Right.
You should have been able to drop off robots there.
Yeah. That didn't bother me because the whole point of building that was to get the second mech.
Yeah. But then it did absolutely nothing after that.
So don't go out there again.
but it's part of the line that you go to.
Oh, that's true.
So
But,
it did
you know.
absolutely nothing. You couldn't turn around there. You couldn't drop anybody off there. It was a wasted
Well, if
space.
it was the end of your line, you could turn around.
I think it was a wasted space.
Okay.
They should have been. You should have, because it looks. If you look at it, it looks like part of the hub, the main hub, where you can drop the robots off at.
Yeah,
You
and it
couldn't
doesn't
do that
say
there.
that.
Yeah, you could not do that there. You could not drop off your robots there, and it should have been another spot. Because if you were way down there and you had robots, now you had to come all the way back up to drop them back off again, and then go back down and start all over again.
Right. This one too, I did see, and we never adjusted our mechs, but you could adjust mechs like you could robots. Use the adjust robots action to adjust the mechs for one unit, but they have to be into an empty space, and that was the hard part, is finding a spot you had empty or emptying that.
Well,
space
it was
first,
a good thing
so.
if you had more. If you had more robots in the adjust, because for every robot you got, you could adjust one
more,
thing. So
right.
you could do that where, okay, this one has one. This has 2 robots in it. I would love my mech to go in there. Okay, I'm going to move these 2 down here, then move my mech up there because I have 3 movement in for that. So, but yeah, but the little hub that you build was my biggest problem, that you couldn't do anything with it.
And looking at these rules, it does state, and so we both must have missed this. Mech hubs behave exactly like the hub, only they can only hold 4 passengers instead of 8. I'm getting the death stare right now.
So I was correct in saying that should have been.
Well, you should have grabbed the rules sheet and looked at it, because I read all these rules to you. Not my fault you didn't listen.
Apparently you didn't listen to
Apparently
yourself.
I didn't listen either. But any player may use any mech hub to which they are connected. Neither one of us was connected to the.
So I feel we need to
were
play
only
that one
connected to
again, because I think that's the one I lost, isn't it? I don't know.
Yes,
I lost 2 of them.
This is one. Yes, this is one. This is the very first Maglev Metro game I ever won. Just saying. So, but yes, it can be used as, it behaves exactly like a hub, but can only hold 4 passengers instead of 8.
So your victory should be with an asterisk beside it.
Whatever. We both played by the same set of rules, so I don't care.
Okay, so let's move on to monorails. I've said my piece, and apparently I was right when I said there should be some way of being able to drop off your robots there. And there was, and
you didn't listen to me. Anyway,
neither did you.
So the second one we played was monorails. Monorails, same thing as mechs in terms of all of the statistics. This one came with VIP passengers. You had 8 VIP passengers. Everybody started with 1 in their train, and then there was 1 for every player in the game put into the bag. So basically we had 4 of them rotating through the game.
Right.
You also had 2 specialized cards. And as one thing I didn't talk about, you get 4 end game scoring cards at the beginning of every game, 1 from each. There's 4 different sets. You get 1 from each set. One of which is so many points based on what passengers you have. If you have so many, you get 1 point for every coral passenger, or 1 point for every silver robot, that type of thing. One is a connection. So if you connect silver to purple, you get 5 points for every time you do that. Well, there's only 2 of each, so the most you're going to get is 10 points. But regardless, there is one for, and this is, okay, I'm trying to think what the other 2 are.
One's for slots on your board.
One's for slots on your boards, whether they're full or not full.
And one's for tiles.
The number of, tiles placed on the board, whether you...
Or not.
It has something, right, it has something to do with your physical train tiles. So this one came with specialized cards for the passengers. This one is the one where the 4 passengers on a train, you get points for having passengers on your train. And then this one also gave you points for the connection. This one was for a full loop. So you used those 2 cards in place of ones from the base game. So the idea with this one is that VIP could be dropped off anywhere, and then you simply took a matching passenger out of the bag and put the VIP back in the bag.
Yep.
And then the VIPs would come back out during the refill station action, where you could pull pieces out of the bag and pop them onto the station that you're at. You can pick them up anywhere. You can drop them off anywhere. The only hitch was if you wanted to drop it off at a pink office building and there were no pink workers left in the bag, you couldn't drop him off there. You had to take him someplace else because those pieces don't exist anymore. They're all gone. That was the big hitch on this one. In every other game, you've been able to refill anywhere, do the refill action anywhere. This is one of the ones that you could not. This one had, the theme of it was almost like a theme park type of thing.
Yeah.
And your 3 base stations, your silver, gold, and bronze, were all basically your ticket gates.
Mm-hmm.
Those were the only places you could do the refill action. Thematically, it simulated having new patrons coming into the park.
Yeah.
I know that was one of your biggest gripes. Mind you, he still beat me at this one quite handedly, but whatever. I'm not bitter.
Not a bit.
No, not a bit. So you could only refill at the gates. And then, so you had to go back up to those gates in order to pick up passengers and then take them down to deliver them where they needed to be. So that made it a little tricky. So it wanted you to make a solid loop. Now, mind you, you can't branch off of a loop because you can only ever have a way in and a way out of any station. So you could expand your loop, but you could not branch off of your loop. All right. The next one we played was moon bases, and this is where you're getting the movement.
Yes.
Done. Okay. So moon bases, again, played very similar to everything else, except that everybody started with a base. And this is where I think I was getting the next one confused, because you started on your home base.
Yes.
So everybody had a moon base out on one of the 4 corners of the board, and then you had to branch off from there. Each one of those bases only allowed 1 tile to touch it, so you could literally come out of it, and that was it. You had to kind of figure out how you were going to route from there. There was no way to get a second track back into it. The big difference with this one was that the movement. Whereas instead of moving from one station to the next based on your movement, one movement action got you 4 stations. You could slow it down, but you had to put a robot into the brake action. This was the first one that had the brake action.
Yeah, this one actually had a piece that
overlaid
the brake that was really cool because the backside of it had one of the little robots on it
like
with
half
that.
of a robot.
And it slid into the spot of the reverse, and then
so it actually stayed in place, which was nice.
And then it added the two actions: the free reverse and the free brakes.
So if you had a robot in your brakes or in your free reverse, then you could back up and you had a little more control over your movement. Otherwise, if you didn't have that brake activated, you were going 4. Doesn't matter if you only wanted to go 2. You were going 4. That was the biggest difference in this one, other than the fact you had that central hub where you started and you could only refill at your hub. Again, this was another one that had the limited refill spots.
Because the thing was that people were being shipped up to the moon and landing at your moon base.
Yes.
And that's where you picked them up to take them out to the different areas.
To the different stations, yes.
It was the whole thematic thing, but...
It was, but it did definitely make it tricky because there was only one way in and out of there.
Yeah. Because you could have a bunch of them on there and then you go out and deliver it. And normally in any other game of Maglev Metro, if you're going to have to come back, you're going to pick up other passengers, so you're going to refill so you can drop them off on your way back to wherever you're going.
And
this one you couldn't do that.
This one was a lot trickier to do that, yes. I did enjoy the theme of it, but yes, it definitely made it tricky. There was also a double station in the center where you could only go in and out, in one, out one.
Was that on this one or was that on Mars?
No, this was on this one. Anyway, interesting one. I enjoyed this one, but having to only be able to refill at the stations, at your home station, did make it tricky, especially since you could only get one track in and out of there. It was hard to make a loop on this one because of that.
Yeah, you couldn't make a loop on this one.
But the extra movement, at least you could move 4 with every action so that you could get around the board fairly quickly. So that was moon bases. The next one, the flip side of moon bases, is Mars. That was the next one we played. I think this was this the second one I won? I don't remember. I only won 2 of these. My first 2 games ever of Maglev Metro I won, which I did not realize.
That I'd been winning them all?
Yeah. I was not happy. Anyway, so Mars was very different. I think... Okay, well, we'll come back to that. All right, so With Mars, you didn't have the crimson and purple stations. Those were out of the game completely.
Mm-hmm.
You actually had to go out to one of Mars's moons to drop off the purple and crimson passengers. So this one had a new piece. And this one, again, had one of those little overlay pieces that locked into the reverse action where it gave you the launch option.
Yeah.
You still had reverse. Actually, this one didn't have reverse. It had backup.
Yes.
So with this one, your trains never truly reversed. All they did was go backwards. And you had to have robots in the backwards action in order to move backwards.
Yes, and there was 3 slots, just like any of the other slots.
Yes. Now, you always got a free one, no matter what. You
Right.
could always do every action at least once.
You could back up one spot, or you could back up more, depending on how many you got in there.
Right. But the launch was the special one on this one. So this one started out with 3 of your primary hubs, your gold, silver, and copper. And in the center of those hubs, surrounded by deep crevices, is an empty station spot.
Mm-hmm.
And if that very center spot, no matter what you put there, that was your launching point to get to one of the moons. To get across those crevices, and this is one thing I didn't mention, is when you're laying down tiles, it's one action point to do it. To lay down, right? You put robots into your tile thing, and that tells you how many tiles, tile actions you get per action.
Yeah. How many tracks you can lay.
How many track? Yeah. How much
track actions? Yeah.
Yes. How many track? There you go. How many track actions you get per action? To lay down a normal track is one track action. To lay down over a river is 2. The crevices behave like rivers. The only difference is, in order to get into that center section, you had to go across 2 crevices. So that meant 3. You had to have a track action of 3 to lay down one tile into that center spot.
Mm-hmm.
And those crevices spread all over the planet. So it was hard to get anywhere without crossing one of them. So there were not very many spots in this one to lay down, because you were missing 4 tiles out of this game. Once you got to that center, you could launch to one of the moons. And once you launched to the moon, that threw those passengers into the bag. You could not. I think the only thing you couldn't do is reload there, but you had to be able to drop off there.
Yeah, there was people there that
Yes.
you could pick up at the beginning of the game.
Yes. There were robots up there you could pick up at the beginning of the game that enticed you to get up there in the first place. Mm-hmm. And then once that opens up, those colored robots those colored passengers go into the bag, and they now become passengers that can be dropped off in those locations. This one was interesting to me. It was probably one of the more complex in terms of figuring out my routes, but it was definitely very interesting. The crevices added a wrinkle to it, for sure.
Yeah.
So, but I think that was the big difference with this one, was the launching point.
Yeah. And launching, you had to have a silver robot for.
Yeah.
And then the backwards was gold, but the first one could be any color. And that's the whole thing with all of them. You can only put certain robots into certain actions.
Yeah, so you were looking for specific colored robots to do what you needed to do on any of these.
Yep.
Okay, so that was Mars. Now we come back to Earth. We did Paris and London. Paris and London had a different designer. These 2 maps were designed by Dale Yu. Still, art still done by Alana Kelsey. Same, everything else is the same. 60 to 90 minutes, 1 to 4 players. All right, so we started off with Paris. The big difference in Paris is you had strike tokens and what do they call those? Strike breakers tokens. So there was a strike board on this one that rotated around based on the number of players. On a 3 to 4 player game, at the end of your turn, you moved it to the right. Done. So every 3 to 4 turns, that would move to the next player, and the strike locations would move. In a 2-player game, it happened it still happened every 3 turns. So I would take my turn. If I had it, the strike would move before my turn. I would take my turn. You would take your turn. I would take my turn. And then the strike board would move to you. You would take your turn. I would take mine. You would take yours. It would move back to me. And it just kept moving in that fashion. So it was a little tricky to keep track of what we were doing. But with this one, you have 2 red X strike tokens that move around from hub to hub, depending on which side of the board it's at. And once you finish one side of the board flips over and the order changes up. So you're just literally moving these around from both of the gold stations to both of the purple stations to both of the crimson stations to both of the gold, the silver stations. They're moving constantly. The trick being that when the strike is at a specific location, you cannot drop stuff off there. You cannot drop passengers there. You cannot pick up passengers there. You cannot do a refill action there. You basically cannot interact with that station whatsoever except to move through it. You move through it as if it doesn't exist. You don't even stop, but you cannot interact with it in any other way. You have the option. There's a number of strike break tokens that you can basically cross the picket line and drop off passengers, but you take one of these tokens, and at the end of the game, these tokens are negative points. And the points go up exponentially based on how many you have. So it starts at 1 for 1, but if you get 5 of them, you're losing 15 points. If you get 6, you're losing 21 points. It just kind of goes up in that fashion. That's essentially the big difference on this one. It had rivers again. That you had to pay the 2 to cross and such, but that was the big difference on this one, was those strikes.
I did not like the strikes. I never paid attention to the strikes. Never.
So when they were coming up, yes.
Yeah, I was constantly going, and there was one time I had 3 silvers in my train, and I made it to the silver one, and then that turn,
it moved to silver.
And then I couldn't do anything, and there was nothing else I could do on the board.
Well, you could build and stuff. You did end up building.
I think maybe I did rearrange some things so I could do something afterwards because of that. And I felt if you took strike tokens, you're going to lose potential points that you're going to need at the end of the game.
Right.
And I didn't want to do that.
Even though you beat me quite handily with this one too.
I don't know. You need to check your books, because I think this was the one that you beat me at.
No, it is not. This one...
This is not the one I
this
just
was
totally
Paris?
Annihilated you.
This is not the annihilation. This one, you beat me 71-64. I won moon bases.
Yes. And I think you won the
parts.
parts.
I won mechs. Those are the only 2 I won.
Anyway.
I found this one very fiddly.
Yes, it was
Moving
way too fiddly. Because like I said, I never
constantly.
paid attention to the strikes.
Yeah.
You were the ones that was moving everything on the strikes.
Oh, and it was a...
Now, the thing is, when the strikes came out, on some of them, you would pull somebody from the bag and put it on one of the...
Some of them, yes. There was a little bag icon on the strike board. Told you when to pull an extra passenger from the bag and put it onto one of the stations.
Yes.
Provided they were already on the board. If they weren't on the board, you didn't do that.
Correct.
So, and again, added to the fiddliness. I just felt out of all of the ones we have, and this is a game that has a lot of pieces. I have never found this game fiddly until this board.
Yeah, and I wasn't really fond of the artwork on this one.
This one was, the artwork was weird on this one.
Yeah, it was...
I mean, it was different. It was Paris. It was Parisian.
It reminded me of a 1970s kitchen.
I wouldn't go that far, but okay.
Have you looked at the board?
Yes.
Okay, maybe you should look at the board again. That screams 1970s kitchen.
Okay, if you say so.
The
honey.
paint schemes and everything, and the curly lines. Yeah, that's 1970s kitchen style right there.
All right, if you say so.
Okay, leaving Paris. Enough said. It's too fiddly. Neither one of us truly liked it.
All right, and our last one. The last board in this pack was London.
Yep.
This one was very different. So this one came with a completely separate board that overlaid unlocking the stations.
The stations.
So instead of having,
districts.
You had to unlock districts. So London is divided up into separate districts. You had your orange district up in the corner. You had your green district down south. You had the blue district, which essentially meant crossing the river. And then you had the purple and pink districts, which were 4 different buildings in all 4 corners. And I don't remember, I can't read here what they were, but they actually named all these stations.
Yeah, they were the...
one of the blue ones is London Bridge.
Right.
And one of the purple ones is the Bank of London, and things like that is what I'm talking about. They named each one of the stations.
Right.
So this one started with your central 3-piece hub again. This is one of the few that used that larger piece hub. And from there, you built out the rest of the stations. There were only 2 stations you could go to without unlocking a district. And that was it. So you went to those 2 stations and then branched out from there. And my mistake was going to the one on the right or the one on the left of the hub instead of the one on the right of the hub. I should have gone right and unlocked that blue and gotten into the bigger area first. But I didn't. It's what it is.
Did you at the beginning of the game unlock any of the
I unlocked green.
I unlocked blue, so it got me down to where there was some more stuff I could do without unlocking more districts.
Yep. So, but anyhow, you started with more passengers on this one. Normally you start with 1 robot of each, and that's it. With this one, you actually started with 2 colored passengers as well, which gave you the ability to unlock some stuff, which is what we both started off with. But this one was just weird. You didn't have to unlock specific colors. So you didn't have to unlock specific passengers. You could build any station anywhere except for the crimson and purple, which had to be built into those edges.
Right.
That was it. But everything else could go anywhere.
Right.
So as soon as you decided to build something, you threw the passengers in the bag and they were open for reload. Mm-hmm. But like I said, you had to unlock blue to get across the river, to get into a separate section of the city. And in order to get up into that top corner, you had to unlock orange. To get down to the southern section, you had to unlock green. So I guess it was about the same as unlocking certain colors of stations. But it just felt...
kind of, because in that one, when you're unlocking stations, you could still go anywhere on the map.
Yeah.
This one, you had to unlock the districts.
In order to even get into that section.
Get into that area.
Yeah, well, which was weird.
Yeah, because you would have to have a station to get through there.
Yeah.
Because you had to unlock the areas to be able to build in there.
Right. I felt like this map was very tight. Even at 2-player, it was very tight. So, I don't know. Yeah. This one was not my favorite.
Yeah, I think my strategy worked really well, of course, because I totally killed you at this game.
This game, just as a note, guys, the score was 72-42.
Yeah. Well, I started with my blue area unlocked, and I had an extra train in the tracks. Or an extra robot in the tracks. So I was immediately able to build across the Thames River.
Right.
And that got me down to that area where I had a lot of area that I had like 3, I think there was 3 places I could build without having to open up another district. And I was taking those mechs back and forth and putting them in the purple and whatever other color that is to build the outer 4 corner buildings. Where you put the purple in, what is it, dark pink or...
the crimson.
Crimson, yeah, there you go.
Coral.
Coral. Yeah, coral. It was the darker pink one, okay?
Right.
But I opened that one up really quick, too. So now I had 3 areas I could build in, and then, of course, green is the next one I unlocked. I never did unlock the orange, but I didn't need to.
No.
I had everything I needed built.
Yeah, I got everything unlocked. And I probably should have put some into my endgame scoring instead. But
because once I had everything unlocked that I needed to unlock, everything was going to the in-game scoring because I had a lot of points in in-game scoring cards. Yeah, I even got a extra action unlocked and
whatever. Anyway, this one was not my favorite, probably because I got slaughtered in it. But okay, so takeaways. Favorite?
I think the last one was...
Oh, mine was Mars. Even though I lost, I liked Mars.
I liked Mars, but I think I liked London the best.
Oh, no. London's going to take a lot more plays for me to decide I like that one.
And I think we both decided that all these maps need more than just 2 players.
Yes.
I think they will work a lot better because there'd be more stations getting open and more battling to get to these places. Yeah. And instead of being able to just, on most of these maps, you could just stay in your own area.
Right.
Although a lot of times you didn't. You would come in and take things away from me.
Oh, whatever.
But
I was trying to win. So, but anyway. I'm not unhappy I bought them. I don't know how much they're going to get played with just 2 of us, though.
Right.
I feel like, I don't know. We'll see. They're going to take more plays for sure.
What was the one you hated the most?
Paris. It was just too fiddly.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think Paris was one that I definitely did not like. Okay, so overall, we're not going to rank each one of these games, but just to remind you, our ranking is a 1 to 5. It's a 1, don't bother. We took the hit for you, so you don't have to. A 3, which is middle pack. Good game, but play it before you buy it. It may not be something you would like. Or 5, buy it. We recommend it.
Okay, now keep in mind, this showed up, the base game, because at the point we did our top 100, we had not played the map pack yet. I had not just lost and been slaughtered so badly in this. This showed up at number 40 on my top 100. Yep. And that's not a spoiler. That video is already out, so whatever. I do really enjoy the game. I think some of the maps may have ruined it for me, I'm afraid. Part of me wishes I just left it with the original. But I really wanted the new maps. And some of them are good. Some of them are not. But I guess that's kind of par for the course.
Mm-hmm.
Probably going to go with like a 3.5.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if it'll hit as high on my top 100 next year. We'll have to see.
I think if you love Maglev Metro, which you did, we've done to this game.
And I like what the game does. I just have apparently not figured it out yet.
Yeah. This has
figured out the best strategy.
Never been one of my big favorite games. Of course, it's not even in my top 100.
Right.
This is the game I knew that you liked, and it's a game that I don't mind playing.
Right.
Like,
because you win.
Like Isle of Cats. I'm not a big fan of the game, but I know you love this game, so I play this game and try and enjoy myself playing the game. So the base game I like because that was what I was used to. This one, like I said, it's going to take some more playing, but if I was to rank it, I would rank it at probably a low 3. It adds a lot of different things, and it's going to take multiple plays for that rating to go up.
Right.
I mean, they rated London and Paris at an 8.
Yeah, all 3 of them have 8s or better.
Yeah.
That have ratings. And I haven't looked at how many.
London, I could see that, but Paris, I didn't like.
And it's it's the pack overall. So
yeah, I would give this a low 3 right now. Maybe if we had more plays with more than just 2 players, it would go up a little bit. But I don't see Paris going up anymore. Paris is the one thing that's really killing my ranking on this. I just did not enjoy Paris whatsoever.
Yeah, I didn't either.
But I loved London. London was great. London, I felt, was a very easy board. Well, I won a lot of games that I don't like. Anyway, so we are basically at a 3.
Yeah.
We ranked this 3. So it's a good game. You might want to try it before you go out and buy it. Because, like I said, it may not be something you like. This is going to bring us to the end of episode 58. We would like to remind you that we have more of the top 100 videos dropping. Episodes 100 through 21 are out.
Yes.
But you need to fix episodes 30 through 21.
Literally while we were recording, I got a couple messages saying that the sound wasn't working. So we're going to have to work on that today.
So episode 30 through 21 will be out.
It'll be back up today.
Be fixed a little bit later today. Plus, the rest of them, you said, should be up by next Sunday?
Yep.
By this time next Sunday?
Barring any more sound issues, yes.
So they should all be up before we do the next podcast.
Yes.
So take a look and give us feedback on your thoughts, or even let us know what your favorite games are. What else is coming to the channel? Episode 47 of Playing Through Our Collection. We are hoping to record tonight. We are looking into possible reviews of the Fox Experiment, Kuntahara, and Apiary. And Apiary.
Apiary. I was going to say, that's a new one.
Apiary. And some others. We haven't figured it out yet. So be on the lookout for those videos. Also, if you want to follow us on social media, just follow the link in the show notes. There you'll find links to Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, YouTube, Threads, and our merch shop. Or you can contact us directly with questions at themeeplesociety@mail.com. Once again, thank you for listening, and we'll see you at the next one.